All right, we've got a lot of big news to run down and no time to waste because today is Election Day in America. It is November 4th, and along with a bunch of ballot measures and propositions in states across the country, we also have local and state elections. I want to run you all through not only the elections, but the panic going on in the Republican Party. Over the past 24 hours or so, Donald Trump has sent a series of tweets, not only endorsing Republican candidates in these races, desperately trying to shovel votes into these elections, but at the same time, launching heinous attacks against leading Democrats who are clearly going to win. Let's start off with the big one. Yesterday, on November 3rd, he said, quote, "If communist candidate Zohran Mamdani wins the election for mayor of New York City, it is highly unlikely that I will be contributing federal funds other than the very minimum as required to my beloved first home because of the fact that as a communist, this once great city has zero chance of success or even survival." Can I just point out, Donald Trump is the most openly communist president in American history. I'm not even making that up or using rhetoric. I mean, it really is stunning when you lay it out. Someone wrote, on Friday, I was writing about the Trump administration's latest foray into National Socialism. Trump wants to build nuclear power plants. He's chosen Westinghouse to build them. He will pay Westinghouse $80 billion for the projects. In return, he has compelled Westinghouse to pay the government 20% of any cash distributions. Between now and the end of January 2029, the government can compel Westinghouse to go public via an IPO, at which point the government will be awarded 20% ownership of the company, making it the single largest shareholder. This is quite literally seizing the means of production. On top of that, he's acquired a 10% ownership stake in chipmaker Intel, straight up socialism, owning the means of production. He's acquired a 15% stake in rare earth producers MP Materials, a 10% stake in Lithium Americas Corp, and another 10% stake in Trilogy Metals. I won't need to go on from here, but you understand that Donald Trump is more communist than ever. So if he wants to come down on a political candidate who's running as an outsider, running to fix affordability problems, which kind of sounds like Donald Trump's campaign, except it was more affordability and xenophobia and a lot of other stuff. But Zohran has a lot of message discipline. He is a powerhouse. He is like a firecracker. He's a firebrand. He's somebody who came out and over the past year has started a movement, not only in New York City, but nationwide. It has become national, and he's clearly just charismatic. Listen, some of his mechanisms for funding his policies, to me, need work, but I think he is undeniably charismatic. I endorse him. I think if you live in New York, you should vote. And let me give you some actual clarity on these elections very quickly. I think it's important that we use this platform to talk about the elections at play and just give you some overall context. So when it comes to Democrats in highly contested races, if you're in one of these states, please get out and vote. New polling shows several major blue state contests tightening in the lead up to Election Day, with Democrats still ahead in most cases, but do not get complacent whatsoever. Never get complacent. In Virginia, for example, Democrat Abigail Spanberger, this is a big one, leads Republican Winsome Earl Sears by roughly 8 to 10 points. That's a big one. In the governor's race. Meanwhile, in the race for attorney general, Democratic candidate Jay Jones has fallen behind incumbent Jason Miyares, a Republican, in most polls. Jones previously led by a slim margin before 2022 text surfaced in which he fantasized about shooting then House Delegate Speaker Todd Gilbert. And then in New Jersey, Democrat Mikey Sherrill maintains a slim advantage over Republican Jack Ciattarelli. Polls from Fox News, Quinnipiac University, Farley-Dixon University, and Rutgers have found Sherrill leading around 50%, while Jack has about 45%. So that's a close one. Get out and vote if you live in New Jersey. Then, of course, in New York City, the race that has been taking the country by storm, firebrand Zohran Mamdani holds a commanding edge over former Governor Andrew Cuomo and Republican Curtis Sliwa. I mean, Cuomo and Sliwa are honestly just clowns. Seeing them on stage next to Zohran, who is incredibly charismatic, an incredibly great candidate, I think he will do an amazing job. It's both motivating and a little bit crazy to see the attacks against Zohran. I mean, on one hand, it's nice to see that someone who is Muslim can elevate to the mayor of New York City after there was a lot of Islamophobia going around in post 9/11. It was bad. I've had family members who are Muslim, of course, and when they traveled in the post 9/11 era, or when they went to anywhere in the United States, it was pretty tense for a few years. So it's inspiring to see that. But it's also awful to see the Islamophobic, xenophobic attacks, just bigoted attacks. They're trying to deport him right now. They are trying to deport him. Republicans in Congress who are in power are trying to deport Zoran because they are threatened by him. Listen, my only criticism of Zoran is the funding mechanisms that he wants to use. I'm okay with raising taxes, but he made a lot of promises that are reliant on the governor of the state raising state taxes. And if he can't get Kathy Hochul to sign on, which is going to be a long shot. I mean, it's not impossible. It's a long shot, though. It's pretty hard. Then he can't get a lot of this stuff funded. So I think there are valid econ criticisms you can make, even though I support his policies. But that's different than saying you want him to be deported. Wanting him to tighten up his funding mechanisms is very, very different than Republicans wanting to deport him. It's insane, but his campaign has honestly redefined Democratic politics. It seems like Democrats are now in this space. They're in this state where there are two sides pulling on each other. There's the more establishment DNC people who are honestly refusing to endorse Zoran, which pisses me off. And then there's the Zoran wing of the party, people who are outsiders who are coming in and redefining the way that we can message. He had so much strict message discipline. I think it benefited him a lot. Anytime someone asked him about Trump or to take debate on anything, he would say, listen, I'm just focused on affordability. Meanwhile, a lot of Democrats not only take debate, but when they do take debate, they make us look lame in response. Zoran has a very, very great messaging technique. Okay, enough glazing of him. You know that I like the way he's run his campaign. The ballot measures that we see here, 24 statewide decisions. Voters in 6 states, California, Colorado, Maine, New York, Texas, and Washington will decide on 24 statewide ballot measures. Here are some of the key measures. California, Prop 50, this is the big one. If you're in California, please go vote yes on Proposition 50. Would authorize the state to use a new congressional map drawn by the legislature for 2026 through 2030. Just 4 years. This has been a controversial proposal that has already prompted millions in campaign spending, but it is necessary and it is only reciprocal to what Republicans are doing in the state of Texas. One more time. It is perfectly reciprocal. They're doing it in a democratic manner, and I urge you to vote yes. We need to fight back. Colorado, 2 measures address the healthy school meals for all program. Actually, let me go back to California just for some more context. Governor Abbott is trying to gerrymander the state in a mid-cycle and create 5 new seats. He did that because Trump called him and said, listen, we're going to lose by about 4 to 5 seats. We need 5 new seats. So Governor Abbott, in a mid-cycle, when you're not supposed to, in the middle of the decade, decided to redistrict the state. It's not totally illegal, but it's immoral, and it goes against all of the norms that have been upheld in the census and the redistricting strategy in the past. So they gerrymander it, and now California is essentially the only state that wants to fight back, and they're doing it in the best way possible. We have Colorado, 2 measures address the healthy school meals for all program. One allows the state to retain and spend additional revenue to use for school meals. Another funds the program by limiting income tax deductions for those earning above $300,000. Maine, question 1 would require photo ID for all voters, both in person and absentee, and change rules for absentee ballots and drop boxes. New York, a constitutional amendment would authorize the state to use up to 323 acres of forest preserve land at Mount Van Hoevenberg complex for Olympic training and winter sports facilities. I find a lot of these to be incredibly interesting. This is politics at play. Texas, 17 statewide measures, the most in the country, appear on the Texas ballot, including Prop 16, which bars non-citizens from voting in any state or local election. I mean, a lot of laws already ban non-citizens from voting, but I guess there are exceptions. Propositions 2, 6, and 8, which would prohibit certain types of taxes, including those on capital gains, securities transactions, and estates. And then in Washington, a measure referred by the legislature would allow the state's long-term services and supports trust fund to be invested in stocks, aiming to improve returns amid rising care costs. To go back to the meltdown happening in the Republican Party, by the Republican Party, I just mean Donald Trump himself is melting down, and everybody else in a top-down manner is deploying Islamophobic attacks against Zohran Mamdani. You know, it would be kind of nice to see Democratic leadership line up. A lot of Democrats have done a good job, but a lot of Democrats are kind of shaky, like a shaky endorsement saying, you know, it's not my place. I don't want to say this. I find that to be kind of bullshit. I say this with all due respect to the prior administration, but I think the Biden era of Democratic politics is over, or it should be at least. I don't think people should be playing it safe, being risk averse, refusing to endorse a candidate. And trust me, I get the risk. Schumer's rationale is that he doesn't want to hitch. He doesn't want to hitch the Democratic Party's brand to a candidate that he views as risky. He views Zohran's policies as a risk. And I agree with Zohran's policies. I agree with the end goals. I think that they're solid, like the redistribution of wealth and making sure that people have safety nets and making sure that things are affordable. It is all very good. But the way that he wants to fund it, as I pointed out, it's going to need some work. So Schumer is scared of hitching the Democratic Party's wagon to that, but he shouldn't be. At this point, it is time to take risks. It is time to get behind somebody who is a more talented communicator than anybody since, I don't know, maybe Obama. I know that's kind of trite to say at this point, but he's a very talented communicator who is clearly capturing the eye of a bunch of young people, and Democrats are just ceding ground rather than getting in line. So all of that is to say, when we have Islamophobic attacks, xenophobic, bigoted attacks coming from this side, it'd be nice to see some unity from all of our Democrats. Donald Trump said, so many fake polls are being shown by the radical left media, all slanted heavily towards Democrats and far left-wingers. In the fair polls, and even the reasonable polls, I have the best numbers I have ever had, and why shouldn't I? I ended 8 wars, oh my Lord. He's talking about all the polls trying to undermine them. Listen, Republicans are going to be trying to deploy, and they are trying actively to deploy some sketchy, slippery stuff to steal the 2026 election. We've heard that they may mobilize people as poll watchers. They may mobilize the military as poll watchers to disincentivize Democrats from voting. We know they're trying to aggressively redistrict and steal certain districts, but something that we can do is vote our asses off today. Make sure that we are voting hard, and we can change the course, the power blocks, the power structure in Congress, and give us a little bit more ground. By the way, if you like the message, make sure you drop a like and make sure you boost it. I also want to say I'm going to be including an Excel spreadsheet made by Slow Boring in the description so you can see all of the elections. You can look in the county or in the area and just find where you live. If you're in New York, or if you're in Washington or Seattle or Colorado, if you're in Montrose County or Florida or Fort Myers Beach or Miami, I know somebody out there just heard something, their district or their state, and they didn't know that there was an election going on. So make sure you go vote, because Trump is panicked. He tweeted out yesterday, he's still doing mobilization. He said, Virginia and New Jersey, remember this, a vote for a Republican means substantially lower energy prices. Not true. Trump's policies are not promoting an abundance of energy, number one. Number two, even beyond the energy, we can look at farmers in multiple red states, in states like Iowa, who are getting pummeled by his economic policies. He then says, a vote for a Democrat, especially these two losers who are running, means a doubling, tripling, and even quadrupling of your energy costs. That's not true. You want to talk about a doubling or a tripling or quadrupling of costs. Republicans refusing to extend the ACA subsidies will literally double or triple costs. To continue, Donald Trump then said, literally this morning, terminate the filibuster. Just pure panic. Just pure radical panic. He then said on November 4th at 8:46 a.m., which was about 30 minutes ago at the time of recording this video, quote, any Jewish person that votes for Zohran Mamdani, a proven and self-professed Jew hater, is a stupid person. Zohran has never said anything. Zohran is not a hateful person. He has said he will increase the amount of security presence at synagogues on Jewish holidays, which is something I've heard from Jewish friends. They're like, hey, we just have like an hourly cop sometimes at our synagogue. It's kind of odd. So it's nice that Zohran actually pays attention and he understands the problems and concerns of people. I'm going to leave it there, but if you appreciate the Election Day updates, make sure you drop a like, make sure you subscribe. We are going to do a live stream later at about 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, so be there for the live stream. Let's mobilize, let's make an impact. Make sure you drop a like, subscribe. I love you all. Peace out.